Welcome. Welcome, everyone. This is a special, another one. Questions, Ask DLF, whatever you want to call it, show where we will take all of your questions that anyone may have during the show. I loaded up some questions from the archive. We gather questions throughout the weeks. There were a lot of them. There are 70 or more, probably closer to 100. We don't get to them during the Tuesday show because there's a lot of people in the chat. You guys are great. I love you. We don't get to questions in advance. I did a show on Thursday. Got to some of them. There were questions there too. And, we had to get the questions in the chat. There were questions in advance. I thought it would be like a 20-minute show. It was over an hour, 15 minutes. So just realized I didn't introduce myself. I'm Tyler. Usually Cal does all that. Tyler at DLF_card. You guys know who I am. I'm the questions guy. So let's see. We will start to have questions roll in the chat. But let's begin with some of the questions from the folder that I've prepared for today. From the HQ Nerd, Joe. Thoughts on Kenneth Gainwell in general and his role in Philly? Let's see. Well, we know what I think of Miles Sanders. I don't think that Miles Sanders is very good. I'm not a big fan of him. So, I think that Kenneth Gainwell has a chance to kind of take up that Boston Scott kind of role that we saw last year. I mean, it's weird. Miles Sanders is supposed to be really good in the passing game, but dropped a lot of passes last year, wasn't so good in the passing game. The Eagles just haven't used him in the passing game role that, you would expect him to be used in. So I think Kenneth Gainwell has a good opportunity, but at the same time, I wouldn't say that I'm like really looking to target him like that much. So I think I'll have a role, but he probably needs Miles Sanders to go down this year to have a big role. I don't really see the world that Kenneth Gainwell overtakes Miles Sanders. I just don't think that's going to happen. But I think he's going to cut into Miles Sanders' workload enough that it's going to make Miles Sanders pretty hard to use. Okay. Facebook question. Can't remember ever seeing a Facebook question. But here's a Facebook question from Ryan. Will ETN take over the backfield more, or will they roll him out to wide receiver and let James Robinson keep it? So they want him to be involved. Good question. I just don't see how ETN is going to be involved at receiver. They don't have room at receiver. I mean, they have Chark. It's their number one. They, still have Chenault, who they say is the centerpiece of their offense. And then they go in free agency. They, they draft the free agency, sign Martin Jones. So I just don't see how ETN is going to be involved as a receiver unless they're planning to run 20 personnel with 2 running backs and 3 receivers. Then it's possible, but they don't really have a tight end there. So I guess it's technically possible, but I wouldn't count on it. And it's not something that I'm really thinking is a big thing. And we hear this all the time, right? I mean, we heard this from the Browns about Kareem Hunt. How often did Kareem Hunt play at receiver last year? Not very often. Heard this from the Bears about Tariq Cohen. They did it a little more, but it's not like Tariq Cohen was lining up as receiver. I mean, even Washington with J.D. McKissick didn't do it that often. So we hear this all the time. I wouldn't worry about it. I think ETN is mostly going to take over the backfield over time, personally. This is Ed commenting on my Eagles running back take. Sanders leaves that door open pretty open for someone else. Can Kenneth Gainwell be that guy? Who knows, but the door's open. I agree. Who has more from Tommy Gunn. Which running back has more dynasty upside? Travis Etienne or Javonte Williams? Good question. It's a good question. More upside. Generally, I'd like to go with a guy who was picked in the first round, who has better pass catching ability in Etienne. But I don't know. Javonte has pretty good upside. He's also younger, which gives him an advantage on the age curve. An advantage on the age curve, which is kind of what you want. It's close, but I'll lean with Etienne for the PPR upside. I think the PPR upside with Etienne gives him an edge in terms of upside, but it's close between the two. It's definitely close. The age is the biggest factor in Javonte's favor. He's over a year younger than Etienne. We have another question, trade question. Henry says that he would prefer Williams. Nothing wrong with that. I have the two very close. To me, how I have it ranked now is that Najee Harris is a clear rookie running back one, and Etienne and Williams are close. They are close, with Etienne having a small edge both in upside and rank. ZX Prodigy X. Kind of like that. Kind of like that screen name there. I'm getting over a cold. It's Dayquil. Keep me going. He says 2022 first, 2022 second, 206, or Antonio Gibson. 12-team Superflex tight end premium. Let's go to the rankings. Let's see where I rank Antonio Gibson in that format. Gibson comes in at 26th overall. So that's an early third-round startup pick. I'm not giving up an early third-round startup pick for this. This is a lot of maybe. A lot of maybe. A first and 2 seconds, not enough for me. I would need a minimum of 2 firsts, and probably that's not enough for me to give up on Gibson. So this is a no for me. I'll take Gibson here rather easily taking Gibson. Okay. Good question, though. It's a good question. We want to make sure that we get the questions right. From Ashley. Thank you for this question, Ashley. God, it's not really a question. Harris, I assume that's Harris, Williams, and Sermon. Najee Harris. Oh, you're talking a rookie draft. Najee Harris, Javonte Williams, and Trey Sermon. It's a good job. Where did you get them, though? Where did you pick them? What's the format? Any more info? Mr. Prodigy says that he's getting Gibson for that. I would love to take Gibson for that. I would take that trade. Go ahead and accept that. Maybe your trade partner's listening to the show and maybe they'll change their mind. You don't want that, so go accept that. Good question here from BV. BV. How many dynasty leagues before you can't adequately play all of them? Currently at 4. Okay, so for me, I would say it's about 6. I could play in 6 or 7 if I wanted. Now, that probably sounds crazy coming from a dynasty analyst. Most of them play in like 20, but a lot of them do anyway, 10 to 20. But I just don't enjoy it. You know, I share what Ed said here. Better to be in too few dynasty leagues than too many. That's correct. Better to enjoy the leagues that you're in. But you know, there are some people on like DLF Zone, Scott Connor. He plays in 50 leagues, and he doesn't have any problem with that. So just whatever works for you. That's a personal choice, not something that you know, that varies from person to person. There's no one right answer. Another Facebook question. Interesting that we're getting more Facebook questions today. I feel like we never have any. From Craig. Thank you, Craig. How is next year's rookie draft looking? I traded Mark Andrews for a 1 that projects to be high. I like that. And I have an opportunity to acquire another high 1 for Josh Jacobs. I would do that. I would do that. If you can get a high first for Josh Jacobs, I would do that. Take that pick. Put that already. I'm in 11 dynasty leagues. That's a good number. Okay. So you got Harris at the 102. Javonte at the 105 and Sermon at the 109. That seems about right. Seems about right to me. Might be a little bit of a deal on Sermon. 100 redraft. Yeah, you know. Redraft still exists. So let's do a little update on Scott Fishbowl. So on the last show, if you watched my last show, when I was live on the last show, I picked what did I do? Where was I in the last show? I think I was at the 11:10 and 12:03. I picked Michael Pittman and James Conner as my wide receiver 4 and running back 5. Since then, I got Hunter Henry as my tight end 2 behind Kelsey at the 13:10. Then I got a steal on Rashad Bateman at the 14:03. I thought that was a steal. It's like the wide receiver 55 taken. I thought that was a bargain. And then I got another steal. I thought Teddy Bridgewater at the 15:10 as my QB3. And then Austin Hooper at the 16:03, which I just thought was kind of ridiculous given that it's a tight end premium. But yeah, I was pretty happy with all of those picks, especially Bateman. I thought that, as much as I've talked about Bateman, and we'll talk about him later, there's a show question in the show doc on Bateman. I thought he was value. And then Austin Hooper was just, at this point, it is what it is. Okay. Good question from Ashley here. How do you enter Scott Fishbowl? Good question. Really, there's a sign up link. Anyone can sign up. It's run by Scott Fish. It's on his Twitter. Ryan McDowell as well will be on his Twitter at ScottFish24, at RyanMC23. And yeah, you just sign up for it. If you just Google Scott Fishbowl, it'll take you to the page where you can sign up as well. So it's really easy. Just sign up, give the information needed, and you'll be able to enter. I don't know if you can still enter SFB. Well, obviously you can't still enter SFB 11 because we're drafting, but you can sign up for SFB 12 already. Diggs and Damian Harris or AJ Brown in a PPR. I assume this is Dynasty. It's a decently fair trade, but just given the way I play, I'll take the young stud in AJ Brown. I just don't think that Damian Harris is enough to move me on that. So give me the stud, the young stud in AJ Brown. Fair trade, though. It's fair, but I'll take AJ Brown. Who is your number 1 Dynasty target to trade for, and what would you give to get him? This is a good question. Number 1 Dynasty target to trade for, I usually say Michael Gallup or Laviska Shenault for this question. Michael Gallup's obviously going to cost less. Michael Gallup probably only set you back a second at most, and I'm fine paying that. Laviska Shenault, maybe a couple of seconds first in a 1 QB league. But I still think that, you can try to get them. Shenault might be tough to get, but his ADP is still way lower than I would take him. And also, if you're looking for some cheaper ones, if you're looking for someone to just kind of swing onto your team on the cheap, Nico Collins for me. Nico Collins is someone, toss a 3rd-round pick at him. And I'd also be looking, Kenneth Gainwell would be someone I'd be interested in on the cheap. A lot of rookies. Yeah. I'd also be okay with trading a 4th-round pick for Marlon Mack. As much as we don't like the Achilles tear, he's only 25, and he was really good, actually, in the last 2 years before they picked JT. So toss a 4th-round pick at Marlon Mack. Running backs are hard to find. Guys like J.D. McKissick got value out of nowhere this year, so it's very possible. Okay. No. Not anymore. Not after another surgery. I'm tired. I had too many surgeries, too many injuries. I have had it with Rashad Penny. So, no, I'm done with Rashad Penny. That was from BV asking about Rashad Penny. I'm just done with Rashad Penny. That's too many surgeries. Okay. In a 12-team Dynasty startup, PPR, tight end premium, what kind of trade values should you look move from 6 back to 10 or 12? I would not look to really do that because at 6, I'm still going to get one of those top quarterbacks. Where at 10 or 12, I'm not going to. So I'd need a lot of value. I mean, if I could get a future first, I would do it. But just the second's not enough for me. I want one of those top quarterbacks. Let's move on. Okay. From Colin at Goodfellas CP. Etienne and Galladay or Lamb? Tough one. I love Lamb. I can't give him up for this. I know the value is appealing, but I just feel like it's not enough. I don't think it's enough. Not with the press around ETN lately. It's a good offer, but I would stick with Lamb here. Good question, though. All right, let's keep it rolling. From Justin Frost. DeAndre Swift, what are your thoughts? It seems like his value is all over the place depending on who you listen to. That's his redraft value. Because I see some people who have DeAndre Swift as like the RB5 in redraft. And I see some who have him at like RB20 something. I'm kind of in the middle. I have him at RB17, maybe a little more toward the bottom, the lower people on Swift. But in Dynasty, I'm not writing Swift off. I still have Swift as Dynasty RB8 because he has PPR upside. He's a really talented back. And I think that the Lions, while they might be bad this year, I don't think they're going to be bad forever. So in Dynasty, I think most people have him around there, RB8, like where I have him. I have Najee Harris one spot ahead and Antonio Gibson one spot behind. There you go. It's back to the comments. Still my first year in Dynasty. How does this year's OTA compare to previous years? I think this is very similar to every year before 2020. 2020 was different. Essentially, we had radio silence until the season started. We knew nothing at all. So last year was different. This year is the same as every previous year. Okay, let's explain this to our if there's a new audience today. So this is a super chat. So if you give it a super chat, there should be a button on the YouTube chat where you can donate money. We will stop the show immediately. We'll get to your question, whatever we're doing, and then we'll come back to other questions. So thank you, Colin, for your donation. Giving up ETN and Kenny G and getting Lamb, I would do that. I would have to do that because I just feel like Kenny G, I mean, he's value capped. He's 27. He's okay. ETN, yeah, he's a good running back, but like, what's his ceiling? I mean, is it really top 5? I don't know. I think it's more of a mid RB1. So I just think CeeDee Lamb is the man. Like, I really do. I think he's the man. I think that you're getting a top 5 dynasty wide receiver for 3, 4, 5 years to come. That's a bunch of maybe on the other side, a bunch of maybe. We saw that CeeDee Lamb was pacing 1,300-something yards in his first 5 NFL games. That was his pace. Not the last 5. The first 5. Those first 5 with Dak. I want CeeDee Lamb. Even if the value is a little bit short, I still want CeeDee Lamb. I trust Coach from Ed. Trust Coach speak when it's negative. Other than that, it's always with a grain of salt. Look for evidence to support news. Very true. Negative Coach speak, I buy in 100%. Anything bad, you buy in. Denzel Mims is dead to me because of the negative Coach speak. Chris Herndon, dead to me because of the negative Coach speak. Michael Pirine, dead to me. The Jets were very honest about those 3. So yeah, anything bad, I buy in immediately. I got off Keyshawn Vaughn very, very quickly last offseason because of the negative Coach speak. Another live show. I love it. Thank you, P. Tuthar. I'd agree with that. And yeah, look for evidence to back it up as always. Let's look on Twitter. Let's look on Twitter and see if there are any Twitter questions. There always could be live during the show. Some people, don't know that we're live and they want to ask question on Twitter. So there are not any questions. It also does not look like I'm going to have a live SFB pick. It's 9 away from my turn, so I assume we're probably not going to get to me. But if we somehow do, I will stop the show and get to that. Okay. Let's see. Let's get back to, okay. DJ Chark 2 playing small. A little. It was concerning a little from Urban Meyer, but Urban did say that DJ Chark addressed his concerns and came in bigger, so I only took it as a small warning shot. Oh, everything was bad about Mims. He was running with the 2s, didn't know the playbook, wasn't picking up the offense. Then he was running behind Braxton Berrios. He didn't want to get any playing time, had no shot with the starters. Everything is bad. I'm done with Denzel Mims. It was just bad. It's one thing if someone has one bad practice, but it's bad if every day is bad. Every day a new bad thing. You know, every day you were hearing about how Elijah Moore is lighting up camp and Denzel Mims is bad. You know, it's not one reporter. It's not one day. It was every day, every reporter. That's bad. That's a very bad sign. That means Denzel Mims is finished. So you can be done with him. Is this Mims or Chark? Not playing well within the hash mark, struggling with route running. You're referring to Mims or Chark with that? I mean, Mims doesn't play well at any part of the field. So I don't know. Chark, maybe. I don't know if that sounds like Chark. I always wonder if stuff like that is to motivate the player. I don't think it is. What do we do with O.J. Howard? Hold him. What else can you do? Well, I don't think Mims – I mean, you're saying Mims is not playing well within the hash mark, struggling with route running. I think that Mims was not playing well in any part of the field. Well, what part of the field did Mims do well on? I must have missed it. Well, he's clearly not impressing them in practice in any part in the field because Keelan Cole is getting outside receiver reps ahead of him. I mean, Keelan Cole, I wrote it. This is an article that's coming out, actually. I wrote a summer sleeper article. We're doing a summer sleeper series at DLF, which is where I write for and where this show is. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, you know, read my articles, subscribe to DLF, all that. And you will get to read the article that I wrote. It's coming out soon about a summer sleeper on the New York Jets. It's a whole series, doing one per team. And I wrote about Keelan Cole because I just feel like Denzel Mims is a failure. And I feel like Keelan Cole, he's had done much more in the NFL than Denzel Mims ever has. And maybe Keelan Cole finds some opportunity there. I don't know. Just something to think about. Especially since Keelan Cole's playing outside now with Moore and Crowder in the slot. Yeah, motivated player, blah, blah, blah. Mims, sit on O.J. Howard from Ed. Yes, what else can you do? I wouldn't drop him and you can't sell him. So you got to sit on him. Remember that O.J. Howard was running ahead of Gronk before he tore his Achilles last year. Hi, AJ. Welcome. I've been snatching up Cole. Oh, Cole. Keelan Cole. Yes. Add him off waivers. Don't pay anything for him, but add him off waivers. 100% add him off waivers. All right. Let's move on. BV, I'm extremely high on AJ Dillon and rebuilds. I can't justify buying with a first, but I've been tempted. Okay. We're not paying a first for AJ Dillon at all in any format ever. You know, we're not doing that. Why would we do that? I mean, they re-signed Aaron Jones to a 4-year extension. And then on top of that, they may be losing Aaron Rodgers very soon, could be this year. Worst, probably next year. I mean, what do you want AJ Dillon for? So I'm not paying a first for AJ Dillon. That would be a big mistake. So don't do that. Okay, let's move on to some of the Ask in Advance questions. Oh, so for the Ask in Advance questions, or any question really, if the question is very long, it just doesn't play as well. I have to read it. It doesn't fit in the banner. The banner has a 200-character maximum. So just let's keep the questions short. It's easier for everyone to understand, and that way I can get to everyone's questions. So try to keep your questions concise. Shorten them as much as you possibly can. I had to shorten this one. That's why I bring it up. Drafted Cam Akers and Jalen Hurts in rounds 3-4 of my dynasty stars. Assume this is super flex. But a lot of experts who are down on them trade them from @stay_chuffed. Whatever that means. It's a British something. Okay. I mean, Cam Akers in round 3 is value. Cam Akers in round 3 is a massive value, even a super flex. So you got to steal. Clearly your league mates don't value him. So you're not going to be able to trade him. So keep Cam Akers. Jalen Hurts. I mean, in round 4, he's fine. I wouldn't get too carried away. Float him on the block. But 1 first-round pick's not enough for a quarterback. And you're probably not getting 2 for Hurts. So it's going to be tough to deal him. But if you get 2 first, feel free to get rid of him. But that's probably what I need. Not even sure first and a second's enough for that kind of quarterback with the rushing upside. Yeah, I don't know. Akers is not a sell at that price, though. That's cheap. Let's go back to the comments. Okay, thanks for giving us more, Tyler. Yes, a lot of people are thankful, and I appreciate that. I like doing this, though. I mean, look, I enjoy this. I like taking the people's questions. The people, they have a lot of questions. I mean, you know, I got to answer them. I got to answer the people's questions. It makes me feel really good. You know, that's why I have my Patreon. It's not really for the money, per se. I mean, it's nice, but that's not the point. The point is to be able to answer the people's questions one-on-one. That's what my Patreon does. And I answer the people's questions, you know, in chat, and, you know, we get to form a relationship and open a dialogue, and I enjoy that. We can do it on the show, but, you know, it helps me get to know you, you know, give more personalized advice. On here, every question has to be generic. And that's why we play the most generic questions are the ones that get read, because we want the questions to apply to everyone. So just keep that in mind when you're asking questions on the show. Tyler, exclamation point, thank you. Okay. Tight end Wasteland. Jonnu, Hunter Long, Njoku, Hollister, Firkser, Disley. Well, Jonnu doesn't belong here. Jonnu is not in this group. Jonnu is way first by a mile. Then I would almost say that Firkser doesn't belong with the rest of them. Firkser is like below Jonnu, but above everyone else. Long and Njoku are kind of stashes. I have some hope for them. Long, maybe Gesicki is a free agent after this year. Long, you know, 3rd-round pick of the Dolphins. Maybe he gets a chance. Njoku, we've been waiting on for a long time. But Njoku's career stats are similar to Jonnu's, similar to Gerald Everett's. So maybe. All from the same class. Njoku has the best draft capital of 3. The only reason he wasn't a free agent is because he was first-round pick, 5th-year option. So I kind of like Njoku as a stash. Disley, I think, is just done. I have no interest really in Disley. And Hollister is not worth a roster spot in any format. He's on the Bills. I think the Bills are about to trade for Ertz. Does Van Jefferson make your sleeper list? No. Not after they drafted Tutu Atwell. And they also drafted Jacob Harris to play like a wide receiver tight end role. I think that's like, and they signed Deshaun Jackson in free agency. I think they're just done with Van Jefferson. So he'd be off my list. I like Hunter Long after this season. I think it's 50-50 on whether they sign Gesicki or not. If they do, Hunter Long's value is dead. If they don't, then he has a chance. Aw, thank you, Cal. I miss you. This show's hard to do without you. It's much easier when I don't have to click on the questions, read the questions, and answer them. But I appreciate you. For anyone who doesn't know, Cal puts a ridiculous amount of work into the shows that we do. I've learned it's very hard to load up the question doc. It's hard to do everything. It's hard to manage the show. It's hard to scroll through the chat. Everything is hard. And doing it on my own, I learned that it's not so easy. So just, everyone should remember in the chat. I know that a lot of the questions even come in directly to me, but just remember that, without Cal, there is no 4-hour show. Like my solo show, if you get an hour 15 out of me like we did last time, that's like a miracle. Like I need someone like Cal in order to be able to do a 4-hour show. He's one of the most supportive and best hosts out there. And I appreciate you. From David, what are your thoughts on Dallas Goedert for this year and beyond? Well, still haven't traded Zach Ertz, the Eagles. They still have not traded Zach Ertz. I don't really understand why that saga is continuing to play out. I got to assume that they're going to, though. So let's assume Ertz is gone. Goddard's a free agent after this year. I think they get a deal done because they can't really afford to lose him, right? And then, he has a path to being the number 2 weapon on that team behind Devonta Smith. So I like him, but they need to sort the quarterback situation. I'd feel a lot better if he had Deshaun Watson. than Jalen Hurts. But I don't hate him. He's my dynasty tight end 8, redraft tight end 8. You can probably guess the 7 guys ahead of him. They're the 7 you would expect. Okay, so Strong from Ryan, Facebook question. So Strong finished with Montgomery. Does he actually lose a lot of touches with Damian Williams per the reports? What reports? I've never seen that before. So no is what I'm saying. I would say no. From AJ, yes, Tyler does. You too, Cal. Been watching DLF team previews. I don't know how Cal does that many shows. I just don't know. McKitty. I don't hate it. I'd much rather have Njoku or Long as a stash than McKitty, though. Long is a far, far better tight end prospect than McKitty ever was. Okay. This is Gesicki. MG usually means Melvin Gordon, but he's talking about Gesicki here from Ed. Gesicki could be out in Miami after this season if they give Long any play time to showcase his talent. It's a great sign. Got a good share of targets to Boston. Problem with that is that they drafted Waddle. They signed Fuller. So they have Waddle, they have Fuller, they have Parker. They're going to use 3 wide a lot. And then Gesicki. They also have a dedicated slot receiver now in Lynn Bowden, and they still have Preston Williams. I don't think you're going to see a lot of 12 from Miami. So, unfortunately, I think Long is just a handcuff to Gesicki. He needs Gesicki to leave. Okay? I don't know what he's thanking Ed for. Probably for the Gesicki comments. Cal has a lot of great shows. Smash the subscribe button. You'll get to see him. Aw, thank you, Ashley. Okay. Oh my God, I don't know how Cal's eyes are that blue, but they are. This is your first time, Henry? So typically, Henry, this show is me and Cal. I've been doing these alone because there are just too many questions. Even in the 4-hour show, we only get to questions from the chat. We do not get to the Ask in Advance questions. So that's why I'm doing this extra show. But yeah, it's usually me and Cal. And every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, every Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, it will be me and Cal for eternity. Team previews, yes. Yes, I was on the Giant show this Thursday. It's on the DLF channel. If you subscribe to it, you can go back and see it. You can replay it. It was me, Cal, Steffi Smalls, and Jay. G-Man Jay. Welcome, Henry. Yes. Yeah, it's annoying. They've been about to trade for Ertz for months. I know, Ed. I know. But it'll happen. Love the team previews. Yes, they are very good. Cal makes it look easy. Do I not make it look easy, Ed? Do I make it look hard? I don't know. It is hard to do solo. They are. Oh, I got this. Thank you, Gator fan. But I have this. I'm not concerned. It's better with Cal. Believe me. This is what it is. But if I didn't do these extra shows, the questions would go unanswered. So I figure it's better for me to answer them. Even this is going to be a little choppy because it's just me alone. But get to the questions. Cal's a pro host. Yes, 100%. Aw, we do. Hey, I mean, look, that shows the highlight of my week. I mean, 4 hours with Cal and all of you in the chat. I mean, it actually makes me happy to do that show. So, yeah, I appreciate all of you, Cal most of all, and everyone watching. Aw, we try. We don't really script anything, actually. We don't script anything. Occasionally, I'll have like a segment if you want a little bit of inside info, like the kangaroo court on the last show. I sent Cal a GIF of a kangaroo, being like, "I have a special segment," and he didn't know it though. I was just like, whatever he gleaned from a GIF of a kangaroo. That's all he knew of what was coming. From Gator fan about Kyle Trask. I think Kyle Trask is backup. Team here previews have been very good for Fantasy Condo. Thank you. Subscribe. I don't do as much content on here as Cal, but like, you should be subscribed. If you're not subscribed, you'll miss it. You'll miss it. And we don't want you to miss anything. Okay. Yeah, it's 4 hours every week, Henry. Every Tuesday at 8:30, and if you miss it live, catch the replay. Over 60% of our views are not live. So over 60% of the people do not watch us during the show, and they watch it later. And it's a very enjoyable experience to watch it later. I watch the whole 4 hours every week myself. I know that sounds crazy, but I do. Not Kadarius Toney. I would have liked it if they drafted Rashad Bateman. I don't hate Bateman. I love Bateman. Bateman was one of my favorite receiver prospects. I just wanted him to go to a different team. I would have loved him on the Giants. Yeah, we do. We do. But that's because of the wonderful people in the chat like you, Ed. Thank you. Smash the like button. Smash the subscribe button. Because if you hit the subscribe button, you'll get to see what Cal and Addison are doing. Especially Addison does the most content on the YouTube channel. And Addison is great. Without Addison, there would be no YouTube channel. So just remember to thank Addison. Amaze Hayes _ I think. Please let that be right. Yeah, Amaze Hayes _ here. For the people. Go in the chat. I just put it in the chat. Go follow Addison if you're not. You must follow Addison. You don't follow Addison, you're missing out. What are you going to get out of Brady, though? I mean, if you're in a rebuild, go for it. Probably not even getting – can you get a first in Superflex? I'd take it. But I don't know if you can. That's what I would do. Great call, Henry, on smashing like. Yes, please like the video. Please. It helps me. How would you construct a trade offer to acquire a future first-round dynasty pick? Okay. Second and third is not enough. Second and third is not going to do it. Second and third in a current player, yeah, I mean – the kind of deals I love to do would be, let me give an example. If I could turn like, let's say we're in a super flex. If I could turn like Corey Davis and a second into a first, I'm doing it all day. All day I'm doing it. Because second, Corey Davis, those are blah players. First is not blah. First could be like Trevor Lawrence this year. So it's usually a second and like a middling player for a first, but ask for the specifics because you don't, what I think is a middling player and what you think is a middling player might not be the same thing. So just ask the question and I'll answer it. That's what we're here for. Damon, do you consider stocks in redraft? Good. Oh, to see a redraft question. Interesting. In redraft, I'll consider. In Dynasty, I always say ignore it. In redraft, sure. I'll consider it. It's a small bonus, but not a big deal. Best ball is where I really consider it, and I don't play a lot of best ball. Exactly what I said. Yeah, it's not a package of picks. It's going to be a player and a pick. There's Addison's Twitter handle. Please go follow Addison. Addison, both Addison and Cal are not big on like asking for support from you guys, but I know that it means just as much to them as it does to me. And I want the people to support them. All of you who have been so great in supporting me, go follow Cal. I'll put Cal's Twitter in here as well, at Calvin and Hobby. Cal is criminally underfollowed. So please go follow Cal, follow Addison. If you support me, supporting them is the same as supporting me. If they succeed, then I'm more likely to succeed. So just remember that. And there's Cal's Twitter right there, and please go follow him. I know you guys are about Dynasty from Gator Fan, but any advice for auction drafts? You know, I don't do a lot of auction drafts. Actually, I really don't do any. I prefer the startup snake format, and I just do. So my advice is stick to a budget and go watch and consume Nathan Powell's content at NPowellFF, he will get you in a good place. Matt Price as well from DLF is an auction person. And John Bosch at John Bosch FF, I believe, is also big into auctions. I'm big on the draft format. I get the appeal of auctions, but just for me, I just prefer the draft. And we all have our preferences, and that's okay. But yeah, the people I listed, Nathan, Matt, and John, Nathan Powell, Matt Price, John Bosch, they're the people you want to ask for an auction draft, not me. David, DLF YouTube channel is criminally underappreciated. We appreciate that. I wish it had a lot more subscribers. So do we. So much great content. Yes. Again, the DLF YouTube channel. So I don't even have access to the DLF YouTube channel. Like if you get a comment from that, that's Addison. So when you're supporting the DLF YouTube channel, you're supporting, that's Addison's like baby. So it would mean a lot to me to see it have more subscribers for Addison, because Addison has supported me since I've been on DLF, and he's been one of the people who supported me the most in this community. So I would really love it to have more subscribers. My content is on there though as well. So if you needed another reason, go hit the subscribe button. Thoughts on Kalen? No, there's no. So thoughts on Kalen Ballage from Bry Guy. See the clear handcuff in Pittsburgh. No, he's a failure. He's a failure. We call him Kalen Mirage. We know. I don't think I've said it enough. We know what the three Pittsburgh backs are called. What are they called? We have Kalen Mirage. What do we have? What do we have, chat? What do we have? We have Kalen Mirage. We have, come on. I'll wait for you. There's Cal's Twitter handle. What are the other two names? We have Kalen Mirage, and Ed says I have no idea who the RB2 is in Pittsburgh. That's right. It's because they're all irrelevant. Najee Harris is the man, and the other three are terrible. So yeah, Kalen Mirage. All right, we'll come back to that. Anthony McFailure. That's right, McFailure, who was benched in the playoffs. McFailure, that's right. Yes, a lot of failure. Benched in the playoffs, inactive for Jalen Samuels. That sounds like a lot of failure. I don't want players who can't, with season on the line, can't get on the roster. That sounds like failure. I don't want more of that. So that's a lot of failure. And then there's another one. I think his name is Benny something. Benny, that's right. Benny Snail. Oh, at the line of scrimmage. It's very far. I'm going to get there. Oh, I'm getting there very slowly. Oh, well. Yeah, so I'm not concerned, really. I don't want more failure. So I don't want slow, I don't want failure, and I don't want whatever Kalen Ballage is, or both. So just bye-bye. No RB2 there. Yeah, the seconds can be valuable. What's that in reference to, though? I don't know. I got CMC and gave up 5 picks. 211, 2 future first, future second, future third. Not enough for CMC. I'll take CMC. No, they're not all auctions. They're mostly drafts. Yes, practice in auction drafts. I agree. So a 1 QB. I love how 1 QB is now non-super flex. Yes, I'm fine keeping both. You could try to flip one, but you don't have to. Nothing wrong with having that as a duo. Young duo, quarterback set forever. And you just worry about other positions. There's nothing wrong with that. Ruggs isn't worth that much. Oh, yes. They were a train wreck. I mean, oh my God. It was so bad. Let's do some light. Oh, I was gonna Google Benny Snell, and I Googled Benny Snail, but Benny Snell came up anyway. Let's look at Benny Snell. So how does 3.3 yards per carry and 23 rushing yards a game sound? Does that sound good or bad? Sounds bad. Benny Snell is terrible. And then no one else even did anything useful. Let's go back to the advanced questions. Otherwise, we're never going to get to all of them. Okay. This is super flex. So Trey Lance. Looking at Trey Lance versus, that's got to be Brian Edwards. Miles Sanders in 2023 first. Not enough. Not enough for Trey Lance. Give me Trey Lance. Give me the quarterback. I don't want injury and failure from Brian Edwards in year one. I mean, not too much failure, but, we're talking about compared to a potential first-round quarterback. That is not good enough. Miles Sanders, a lot of failure. 2 years of failure. I don't want more failure. And then a first, 2023, that's so far away. So, no. Give me Lance here. This is a laughable question. Laughable question. It almost does. But not quite. All right. Let's move on. Okay. Rebuilding in a 1 quarterback, 14 team PPR. Just did this trade, gave up Tyreek for 2 firsts, Deontay, Damian Harris. Thoughts? You're giving up Tyreek in a rebuild, you get 2 firsts, a receiver, Deontay, who's about 2 years younger, and Damian Harris. Good return. You're not going to get more. In a 1 QB, Deontay's worth more than a first. So, first and like a third. So, if you wanted to move Tyreek in a rebuild, I don't think you were going to do better. You maybe could have done a little better, but if it was this or nothing, I like your trade. If it was this or nothing. Okay. Not at all. Not at all, AJ. Not at all. I'm not worried about it. And Ed is referring to the asking advanced question about Damian Harris. Sell Damian Harris? Yes. Yeah, he's not someone I really want to hold in a rebuild. He's already been around a while. All right. Starting to lose my voice, but I'll speed through these in advanced questions. What are your thoughts on Derrick Henry's dynasty value? He doesn't have a lot of dynasty value. His trade value is nowhere near commensurate with his ADP. And his ADP is like 15th overall in 1 QB. I mean, he's going ahead of Najee Harris, Antonio Gibson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, J.K. Dobbins. You can't trade up for those guys. So he doesn't have a real dynasty value. His trade and ADP value are so far apart. That's kind of my thoughts on his value. Do I have any opinions or thoughts from Mavericks Blog on Reddit on how or if the extra game will change fantasy? I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. I think it'll make a difference for us that we have to use per game stats like more consistently than seasonal because now there's an extra game, but I'm not expecting like massive changes from it. Matthew Mayo from Patreon. Is Bateman lower in your rankings because of talent or low passing offense? I mean, I just said I wanted the Giants to pick Bateman, so it's not because of his talent. It's because of the low passing offense. And he's not that low in my rankings. From @FantasyBantasy, Jacob. Who's the best wide receiver that we should all be taking Jerry Jeudy ahead of? Well, let's go to the rankings. Right now, I have Jerry Jeudy ahead of Keenan Allen and Deontay Johnson, and just behind T. Higgins, Brandon Ayuk, and Chase Claypool. So there you go. Head of Keenan Allen and Deontay Johnson. Oh, boy. Yeah, I was pretty sick the last couple of days, but that will not, a little sickness will not stop me. The sickness cannot stop me from delivering answers for the people. Cannot stop me. Oh, boy. Let's continue. Is Calvin Ridley a top 5 dynasty wide receiver from @almighty_EO? No, he is not. I have a clear top 5 right now. Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb. So he's just outside that. He's my wide receiver 6, but it's not very close. My top 5 is locked in. Jefferson, Brown, Metcalf, Hill, Lamb. So he's not a top 5 dynasty wide receiver for me. Okay. Let's see. From Ashley. Is Dwayne Eskridge worth anything? Yes. but he's more of a stash. You're not going to be able to sell him. He's someone I would have liked to have picked in a rookie draft late, and I hope he flashes and then sell for more. Ooh, welcome, Matt. Matt is great. If you don't follow the Fantasy Scouts, I would suggest doing that. Matt and Sam, and you'll be rewarded. And also, let's just say that one of Matt's tweets may be in an article of mine coming out soon. A little spoiler there. Gotta give him props for being an early truther on someone. 2023 first, greater than sign Ruggs. Come on. A lot of failure. You're right. A lot of failure. Picks haven't failed yet. Yes, he is. He is. Claypool is the Steelers' wide receiver 1, but careful. Don't ask about Jalen Hurts. You won't like that answer. I know his trutherisms. That's a good one to ask me. Asking about Jalen Hurts, maybe not that one. Oh, he has failure. He has a lot of failure. Miles Sanders from Jeremy C. A lot of failure. You can't trade him to save your life, but apparently he's still 31st overall. Whole 15 picks ahead of David Montgomery. Give me David Montgomery straight up over Miles Sanders. I don't want more failure from Miles Sanders. Realistically, if you're looking to move on from Miles Sanders, here's my suggestion. How about like Jerry Jeudy and a second? You think you can get Jerry Jeudy and a second for Miles Sanders? All day. All day, give me Jerry Jeudy in a second. I don't want more Miles Sanders. I don't want more failure. A lot of failure. There was a whole video. Every pass dropped. Routes run in the wrong direction. What was he doing? He had no idea what he was doing. A lot of failure. I don't want more Miles Sanders. So try something like Jerry Jeudy in a second. If I had to settle for it, Devonta Smith in a second. No Miles Sanders for me. What? Tyreek Hill and Trey Sermon for Henry? What? I don't understand the question. You're telling me I should trade Hill and Sermon for Derrick Henry? I'm not doing that. I'd rather have Hill over Henry straight up. Explain this one to me. I'm a little confused, Gator. Yeah, you know what? I care more about the people. I'll die answering these dynasty questions if that's what it takes. Henry? Ed, who do you mean by top 5 redraft maybe, but not dynasty? All right. Can't get rid of OBJ to save my life? Yes, that's because you can't sell it. Just hold him and hope. Oh my God. Yes. No. Don't add to Hill to get Henry. You're not doing that. Claypool over Lockett by a mile? Age difference, and Claypool has those Metcalf alpha traits. Easily Claypool. I can draft a team without drafting failure. So you might want failure on your team, but I'll take a failure-free team. I don't want failure. Because the problem with failure is, yes, Ridley I have ranked for this year wide receiver 4 for redraft. But you say that you can't draft failure, but the problem is once you draft failure, once someone has failed, they have a permanent stigma, a stink of failure. Dynasty managers are always like, oh, failure. That player was a failure. I don't like that guy anymore. Like, no matter what Juju does in the rest of his career, he burned you in 2019. He burned you in 2020. And people are just, I'm not being burned again. So they're just done with him. So once you have a lot of failure, it's really hard for people to trust you again. You need like 2 seasons of trust. Like Ryan Tannehill, his 2019 emergence was not enough. He needed to do it in 2020, and then people still didn't value him in Dynasty until he also got Julio Jones. So once you fail, it takes a lot to rip that label off. The value's not there, and that's why I avoid failure. I don't want more failure. Tracted it for Ridley. Debo versus Ayuk is obviously Ayuk. Ayuk is the alpha there. It's clear. Debo is a lot of maybe. I don't want more maybe. Not in a Trey Lance offense. Trey Lance is going to rush a lot. I don't think Trey Lance is going to have like 5,000 passing yards. So Kittle's the clear 1. Ayuk's the 2. Debo's the 3. And I'm not big on the 3 there. Welcome, Benny. All right. Oh, perfect. We were just talking about Trey Lance. Aw, Spence. So Spence is the best. That JTRB1 is Spence. And yes, I just remember all these people's names. It's I gotta, do that. Knowing that, but it's just important for me to remember who everyone is. Knowing that Trey Lance could possibly sit this year, why do you think everyone's taking him over Wilson? That's Zach Wilson. How much better of a prospect does someone need to be to outweigh a starter, even if they're not starting? It's not about how good of a prospect Trey Lance is. It's about his rushing upside. Trey Lance's rushing upside is why he's ranked so high for fantasy, because he has the upside to rush for 1,000 yards, and Zach Wilson does not, or anywhere near it. That's why. It's because Trey Lance has the upside to be the QB1 with his rushing. That's why. That's the answer to the question. I've talked about Akers quite a bit. I mean, I have him as my Dynasty RB4 and as my redraft RB9. So I'm pretty in on Cam Akers. I think Darrell Henderson is a nothing, and he's a Jag, and like they don't have anyone else. So I'm in on Cam Akers. Sorry, not sorry. He's also really young. I mean, he's like 16 months younger than Najee Harris, younger than Travis Etienne. All right, from Ed. Cowboys getting the hard knocks treatment. Who do you think is currently underappreciated? Gallup. And who is someone you can get an unnecessary ADP spike from the show? I mean, Gallup is the underappreciated one. And I think that Jarwin or Schultz, whoever gets hyped on the show, is going to get the unnecessary ADP spike, because I don't think the show is going to really tell us who is the starter between those two. It's priced now as if Jarwin is like the clear starter and Schultz is irrelevant, and that's not how I see it. I see it as a committee. From Steve Madden Shoes, DLF Forum. Can you deep dive on OBJ? This was a very long question. I had to cut this down. His value is extremely depressed. He was once his top 3 in startups. What's wrong? I mean, nothing's wrong, but he's had a lot of injuries. I mean, in 2019, he was the wide receiver 26. Last year, he was pacing like the wide receiver 23 before he went down. We haven't seen the old OBJ in a long time. He was healthy last year when he wasn't performing. I think OBJ is what he is now. I do. For this year, I have him ranked wide receiver 29. I'm not in. And I think I'm done. Sorry. I think he's just not what he once was. I don't know why. I don't know if it was the sports hernia in 2019. I don't know what injuries he had. There was another one in 2017, another one in 2018. I think the injuries have just caught up to him, and I think OBJ is not the same player anymore. Sorry. All right. Last and advanced question from @Raider785. Who are some players to buy low right now and to sell high? All right. Sell high, Miles Sanders. But we've talked about him enough. Buy low. I'll refrain from Laviska Shenault, Jerry Jeudy, and Michael Gallup, because they are always my answer to this question. Always those 3. But if I cannot use those 3, I would say that, let's see, De'Ami Brown. I'm in on De'Ami Brown when a lot of other people are not. So he's a buy low for me. Let's scroll a little bit. Some low, Cornell Powell, but I don't know how low he is. If you want some non-rookies, Dalton Schultz in tight end premium is a buy for me, who we talked about just a bit ago. He's someone I'd like to get as a cheap stash. David Njoku, another cheap stash that I'm interested. For some other non-rookies, let's see. those were some of the main ones. I mean, there's always my Chase Claypool, I think, is a buy. T. Higgins. Basically, talented players that people are downgrading for situation are a lot of my buys. And they're mostly wide receivers. So, yeah, I think I gave you a bunch. I also don't mind taking a cheap shot on Henry Ruggs because they didn't invest in more players to replace him. Which means that even though he was a failure, they're giving him another chance for some reason. Okay. Ed says Ayuk decently ahead of Debo. Yes. Rate my team. I can't rate your team live on the show. There's a lot of players. It looks okay at like a glance, but there's a lot of players for a live show. So, try to keep the questions simpler, but I mean, you say it's a 2 QB. You have Lamar and Josh Allen. I like that. CeeDee Lamb. Always like to see CeeDee Lamb and Cam Akers on a dynasty team. Javonte and Kittle. It is a 10-teamer, so you're expected to have more studs, but looks pretty good. Ed agrees. And yeah, still look at OBJ's dance mixes sometimes to feel better. So yeah, we've completed all the Ask in Advance questions. I've answered all the questions in the chat. And yeah, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Typically, my solo shows go, we're not going to get a live SFB pick. I'm too many picks away. So unfortunately, a no on that. But yes, typically my solo shows run around an hour, maybe a touch more, but we're over an hour here. So thanks to everyone in the chat. And let's just go over the ways that you can support us. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, please, please. That's the biggest way. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like this video. Please subscribe to DLF. That's where all my articles are. The entire team really would love your support on all of our articles, our rankings, ADP, trade tools. It's all one price, all included. And then, yes, Ed, the main show. Tuesday, live, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, every week. Cal and I take your questions, usually for 4 hours. We promote the show, Twitter, everywhere. And yeah, if you were watching on Periscope, make sure to tune into the YouTube or Facebook. The chat is lit on the YouTube. The other places, the chat's kind of quiet because most people tune in on YouTube. And yeah, subscribe to me. I'll put myself up at DLF_carp right in the bottom left corner. And that's it. Appreciate all of you. Thanks for all the questions. Have a good night.